Okay, we're gonna get everybody's attention. We're gonna bring the meeting to order. Okay, Councilor Laura, we're settling down now.
Bottle of sanitizer on the floor. Oh, well. Stay there.
While we get going, whether we're live or not, I gotta tell you that term, settle down. Did anybody know where that came from?
Settle down.
Settle down, wait for the ground to settle.
You don't want to
No,
hear what I have to
In
say.
the old days, in the homes, everybody had a settee. That was the place with the,
Yeah.
it had the curved kind of pillow. You'd sit down, they had them in the kitchen.
We got them in our head.
Yeah.
Trinity.
So that's where you went to have a little nap.
You had
and stuff
your,
like that. So in Newfoundland, when somebody,
You had a spill. Oh.
got a little rambunctious in the house and the father and the mother said, hey, go settle down. That's where that term came from.
Oh, really?
Yeah. Just saying. So on that note, I'm gonna call the meeting,
My great grandfather used to have a spill on his all the time.
I'd like to welcome counselors, members of staff. Also, we do have Counselor Tristan Hewlin joining us by Zoom. And welcome, Tristan. Hello, Tristan. Can you hear me?
Test.
Okay, we'll wait for Tristan to respond. So it is, let me get my smartphone up and running. It is 7:03. I'll call the meeting officially open. On that note, I would ask the councilor to move that the agenda be adopted as circulated. Moved by Councilor Lenny Keller, second by Councilor Myra White. Are we good? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Motion carried. Thanks for joining, Tristan.
I text.
Item number 2 is the approval of minutes. It was a public meeting of council 2 weeks back on April 6, 2022. Our town clerk had those minutes circulated to all council members via email. I would ask a council member to move that those minutes be adopted.
Moved.
Moved by Councilor Laura Aylward, seconder.
I second it.
Second, Councilor Tracy Boland. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Motion carried. Item number 2B was a privileged meeting of council, April 7, 2022. Review disclosure statements, just for clarity. Annually, council members have to disclose their real properties or business interests within the town to ensure that all council knows their interests so that a conflict of interest doesn't arise at the table. So on that note, I would ask council member to move that those disclosure statements be adopted as circulated.
I so moved.
Moved by Councilor Myra White, seconder.
I second it.
Second, Councilor Tracy Boland. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
I noticed there wasn't a lot of private jets or yachts in the disclosure statements. It shows that we're really frugal, you know, and.
Yeah, I didn't disclose most of mine.
Yeah.
My boat didn't arrive yet.
It's on order from Amazon.
Yeah.
According to the geopolitical atmosphere and what's happening with the tyranny of Russia and Ukraine, there may be a lot of yachts and seizures that the world is taking control of for the oligarchy, I guess, of
Yes.
Yeah.
oligarchy. Yeah. Okay, are there any matters, item number 3, any matters arising from either of those minutes, our previous public meeting or our disclosure statements?
That I know.
Nothing? Okay, Jennifer, I don't think we have any proclamations or delegations. Nope. Nobody visiting us from Washington DC or Ottawa tonight. That'll soon happen, I'm sure. We get things moving here. Okay, committee
Queen's birthday
reports.
today.
Whose birthday?
Queen, she's 96.
I know. Isn't
96.
that great, eh?
Imagine. Bless her heart.
I
Yeah.
seen the rifle, not the rifle, the cannon salute today and the singing of happy birthday with the Royal Guard.
Yeah, I guess it'll be repeated tonight. I was on that. I was on the phone half today, probably 3/4 of the day.
Well, on behalf of the town of Stephenville Town Council, let's wish the Queen a very happy birthday.
Yes.
Yes,
Absolutely.
certainly.
It's a supreme reign for her time, you know, she's been heading the monarch for a long, long time.
And so young when she started.
Yep.
Yeah.
Okay, I'm going to turn it over to our Chair of Finance for the Finance Committee Report 5.1.
Good evening, everyone. Item number 1 is our accounts payable listing for March 2022. It was the recommendation of the Finance Committee that the accounts payable listing for February 2022 in the amount of $186,000.14 be approved. I so move.
Moved by Councillor Myra White, seconder. Second, Councillor Lenny Tiller. All in favor? That was close.
I couldn't heck, was it?
No, figure it out one guess. That was close.
Item number 2, property tax. It was the recommendation of the Finance.
Say all in favor?
Did I get all in favor? I believe I did. All in favor?
I think you did.
Oh.
Aye.
Okay,
It was the
thanks for that, Councillor Aylward.
It was the recommendation of the Finance Committee that property tax write-offs totaling $2,145.05 be approved. I so move.
Moved by Councillor Myra White, seconder. Second, Deputy Mayor Susan Fallow. All in favor?
Aye.
Carried.
Item number 3, water and sewer tax. It was the recommendation of the Finance Committee that water and sewer tax adjustments in the amount of $118.69 be approved. I so move.
Moved by Councillor Myra White, seconder. Second, Councillor Tracy Bolin. All in favor?
Aye.
Motion
Who
carried.
said that? Was that Tristan?
Yes.
Oh, aye.
Item number 4, remission of tax. It was the recommendation of the Finance Committee that remission of tax in the amount of $1,965.38 be approved. I so move.
Moved by Councillor Myra White, seconder. Second, Councillor Lenny Tiller. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Motion carried.
It's a recommendation, item number 5, business tax. It was the recommendation of the Finance Committee that the business tax adjustment in the amount of $300 be approved. I so move.
Moved by Councillor Myra White, seconder.
Second.
Second, Councillor Laura Aylward. I can, just for clarity too, sometimes it's nice to advise for any of the general public might be listening in. When we do property tax write-offs, it's various reasons why. It could be a property tax was transferred, it went to our finance department. Actually, the property owners could not be found. There's all sorts of reasons why we write off property tax. Water and sewer tax, we do have a generic policy that all private land within the town gets a tax for water and sewer. But if they have a double parcel, but there's only one house on it, they actually will get a tax bill for the double, but it'll come in annually for write-offs so that they only actually have to pay water for just one residence, because some properties might have a double lot, but it could be vacant. But the water and sewer still runs by it, and that's under the municipal regulations that are laid down that we have to follow provincially. And with business tax, as we well know, some businesses close, some businesses go out of business. Rule of thumb in business, just sort of some statistics, is a lot of businesses fail within the 7 years, as we well know. But just saying, because we have a larger female numbers on our council, that females have a higher success rate in business than males, just saying for the record.
Oh.
Yeah.
Don't need a motion or a
Not
second or
that we
anything
did.
on that, I'm just saying.
Thank you.
Okay, so item number 6, Councillor Myra White.
Approval to tender asphalt. It was the recommendation of the Finance Committee that the town of Stephenville issue a tender for asphalt. I so move.
Moved by Councillor Myra White, seconder.
I second.
Second, Councillor Trace Bolt. Just say before I call for a vote on that, this is one that I'm pretty confident that we'll get unanimous support on, because you can't, there's one thing, you pave roads and fix potholes, you're gonna keep people happy. That's a rule, that's a generic thing in municipal politics. So on that note, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Motion carried.
Item number 7, approval to tender lease backhoe. It was the recommendation of the Finance Committee that the town of Stephenville issue a tender to lease a backhoe. I so move.
Moved by Councillor Myra White, seconder. Second, Councillor Lenny Tiller. A backhoe came through council. One of the biggest uses for a backhoe in emergency situations is water breaks.
Yeah,
And I can tell you what, when somebody loses their water, you only appreciate it until you lose it. And you can't boil the kettle or flush the toilet, stuff like that. So having reliable equipment is very, very important. So on that note, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Carried.
Item number 8, council remuneration. It was the recommendation of the committee that the town of Stephenville council annual remuneration be reverted back to the period 2005, as remuneration was reduced in 2006 due to the Abitibi closure. The council remuneration is as follows. In 2005, the mayor position $24,062.50. In 2006, which is current, it's $20,781.25. To the deputy mayor in 2005, it was $17,187.50. And in 2006, it was $14,843.75. And as for councilors, in 2005, it was $13,750. In 2006 to current date, it's $11,875. $11,875. Council remuneration will be retroactive from January the 1st, 2022. I so move.
Moved by Councillor Myra White, seconder. Second, Councillor Tracy Bowen. Question? A couple of things I just wanted to say that it is going back to what councillors were paid 18 years ago. So council, since I've been the mayor, and you would be the longest standing mayor, Councillor Laura Aylward. So it's just reverting back to that date.
Standing councillor.
Did I say mayor?
You did.
Yes.
I was deputy mayor once for a while, but
Yeah, we're gonna switch seats here. I
Didn't
can
get
see
to
it
mayor.
coming. I can see it coming.
He still wants to be the mayor.
yeah, I'm gonna be like, what's her name there? Mrs. Saga.
Yeah. The other thing too, that had happened that, I'm not sure if it happened, Susan, when you were on council, but Laura for sure, is CRA and taxation. Years ago, probably 6-7 years ago, council remuneration, 2/3 was non-taxable. So you're only taxed on 1/3. But when that regulation or that change with CRA, we're actually taxed on the full amount.
Yeah.
So actually, council actually took a cut and pay again. So
That was last term, I was the.
yes, yeah, I think so, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. So on those notes, I think it's very, it's good for council to look at that. Councilors do a lot of work and they move this town forward, and we're in good fiscal shape as a town to afford it. So on that note, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Contrary? Motion carried.
Item number 9 is a request for a grant from the Stephenville Cultural Destination Committee. It was the recommendation of the Finance Committee that the town of Stephenville provide a grant in the amount of $20,000 to the Stephenville Cultural Destination Committee. I so move.
Moved by Councillor Myra White, seconder.
Second?
Second, Councillor Laura Aylward. Just a couple things on that. The SCDC have been doing phenomenal work. We are in the process of applying for additional funding through ACOA. That's going to help with a lot of activities in Stephenville. It's a big promotion towards downtown events. Some of that funding could actually go towards an SCDC should they take on an event on Main Street. But this year we did a transition for the first time, given a grant to a new Acadian group, that got incorporated and formed to promote the Acadian and French culture in Stephenville. And that group received a $5,000 grant. And as part of the SCDC's start and game plan, I guess, from what they were to complete, was to work on Indigenous groups, work on the military U.S. Culture and history in the town, and also our French strong Acadian history. So they've done a phenomenal job, and actually they did some work years ago on the Acadian side and helping them. But this way, we actually got to use some of our funding to help that incorporated body that can focus on the Acadian culture. And as council, we're going into our third year as a Sweetgrass Festival, and we actually give grants to our Indigenous group, the people of the Don. So I think it's all working out and it's heading in the direction that we need to head to. So on that note, all in favor?
Aye.
Motion.
Item number 10, a request for grant, Joe McNeil Antique and Unique Car Show 2022. It was the recommendation of the Finance Committee that the town of Stephenville sponsor the Joe McNeil Antiques and Unique Car Show in the amount of $2,500. I so move.
Moved by Councilor Myra White, seconder. Second, Councilor Tracy Ball. I just like to speak on that too. Again, we are so fortunate to have the legacy of Mr. Joe McNeil's car collection of Model Ts and vintage 100-year-old plus vehicles in our town. And they are always the premier group of vehicles that sort of stand out on our car shows that we have every year. But this September, we're having a film being shot here inside the circle. PBS from out of Boston will be flying in with crews. We're going to be partnered with Lake City, South Carolina. There'll be a similar film shoot taking place there. I believe it'll be hosted by Sherman Downey and Bob Hallett from Great Big Sea. It's called Inside the Circle. They've been into Stephenville already doing sort of a recon to determine what would be the suitable location. Just waiting for that to be confirmed. But when you have a collection of cars like Joe McNeil, what a nice thing to bring to an event. So when people come there and they see what we have here in Stephenville. And at some point in time, we've spoke about it many times, Susan and Laura, and for the new councilors that, and I'm waiting to have our meeting with Minister Abbott again, but the former Harmon headquarters building is something that council in the past and hopefully currently has their eyes on as a potential museum for Stephenville. And it could have an extension to put a Joe McNeil car collection on. That's a very historic building. I'd like to get it for $1, but I'd like the government to give us about $1 million to go with it to do the renovations. That would be part of the deal. So we're going to see if we can broker that. That's a municipality, but we have so much history here. And the three things I mentioned that we're down in the basement of the Legion, and that's not a suitable place for people with disabilities and so forth. But we need to put our focus and our lens on some future planning and some strategic planning as we move forward to get a new museum for Stephenville. So on that note, all in favor?
Aye.
Motion.
Item number 11, it's an amendment, Town of Stephenville's recruitment package with Western Health. Let it be resolved that the Town of Stephenville amend recruitment and retention package with Western Health on motion number 20-339 to include recruitment of specialists and general practitioners. The benefits are limited to the approval of 5 positions, and the approval of council will be required for positions beyond that amount. Eligibility, a minimum 2 years full-time commitment of service located in Stephenville will be required. We're going to add a signing bonus of $50,000 and a cost of living allowance at $36,000. I so move.
Moved by Councillor Myra White, seconder.
Second.
Second, Councillor Lenny Tiller. Question? I just want to say, we just recently, Laura and Myra, we had a meeting with Western Health representatives who are primarily responsible for recruiting. And we've heard it on the news that, we're in a health crisis. And for several reasons, but COVID played a critical role as to why we are in a health crisis. But a comment that came from an individual basically said Stephenville's ahead of the curve because we're so proactive. We're technically matching what the province is matching to attract the doctor. And when you think that, 1/5 of the population of Newfoundland and Labrador, 100,000 people, don't have a family doctor, and nobody should ever dispute that we're not in a healthcare crisis. Because when you look at places like the European Union, they have systems in place that every resident has to have an opportunity to see a family doctor or have blood work done at least once a year. It's almost like, and the Healthcare Act in Canada gives us that right also. It's embedded there. But yet we're in a healthcare crisis. So we are so fortunate to be in the fiscal position to put the incentives there. We actually will be rolling out the first incentive for Dr. Al Kanani, who has signed on for 2 years. I believe Laura, Dr. Ada will be starting up in May, but we're short about 5 physicians, specialists, and it's very, very important. And for the work that's being done with the Guardian Angels, you guys really come, face to face with reality when you visit seniors and you see the conditions they're in. You escalate that up when they don't even have a family doctor. And the pressures that puts on our hospital staff, our emergency department, when if you don't have a family doctor, you hesitate sometimes maybe to go to the emergency department. But by the time you get there, your condition may be to a point that it's costing so much money because it has escalated and they have not been able to get the proper diagnosis to remedy maybe an illness that didn't get at that scale. So I'm very proud of council to move forward on this. I did mention earlier potholes and pavement is very, very important, and it is. We're in good shape, but the health of our community and the health of people who don't have a doctor, I hear it all the time. And we went around the table, the majority of our council here don't have a family doctor. And that's not right. So hopefully this will have some traction and we'll have benefits to the residents of this town because it's their money we're spending. On that note, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Motion carried.
Item number 12, an amendment, Town of Stephenville retention package at Western Health. It will be resolved that the Town of Stephenville amend retention package Western Health as amended by motion 21-236 to include licensed practical nurses. An annual professional licensing fee is $400 limited to, and an annual recreation grant of $500. I so move.
Moved by Councillor Myra White, second.
Second.
Second, Councillor Laura Aylward. I'd just like to speak to that one too, just to say that Councillor Aylward helped champion this one forward. We actually moved the retention package down to the LPNs, and they're part of the team. They're a part of the team, from that surgeon to the internist to anesthesiology, anesthetists, and the RNs and the BNs. And they play a critical role to the health and welfare of patients at our hospital. And I'm just really pleased that the recreational grant is offered too, because and not everybody will actually take advantage of that. We've noticed that in the past year. Not everybody will join a dance studio or a curling club or a ski club or a golf course. But at least we're encouraging people to get out and get active. So on that note, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Motion carried. Excuse me. So, do we have anything late on finance?
No.
Nothing? Okay. We're going to turn over to our Chair of Planning, Councilor Lori Aylward.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Mayor. Item 5.2 is the Planning and Traffic Committee, of course. Curbside spring cleanup. It was the recommendation of the Planning and Traffic Committee that the town of Stephenville start annual curbside spring cleanup from May 2nd to May 13th, 2022. Further details will be posted on the town's website and Facebook page. I so move.
Moved by Councilor Lori Aylward, seconder.
I second it.
Second, Councilor Tracy Bowen. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Carried.
106, 108 Carolina Avenue, Callahan's Contracting Limited. Request for a permit to construct 5 office units in the building located at 106, 108 Carolina Avenue. It was the recommendation of the Planning and Traffic Committee that request for a permit be approved, subject to compliance with town regulations and approval of Service Newfoundland and Labrador. I so move.
Moved by Councilor Lori Aylward, seconder. Councilor Tracy Bowen. All in favor?
Aye.
Motion
Aye.
carried.
106, 108 Carolina Avenue, Rock Physiotherapy and Wellness. Request to occupy space in the building located at 106, 108 Carolina Avenue to accommodate a multidisciplinary clinic offering physiotherapy and massage therapy and erect business signage on building. It was the recommendation of the Planning and Traffic Committee that this request for a permit be approved, subject to compliance with all town regulations and approval of Service Newfoundland and Labrador. And the next item, I think,
No,
You
you're
gotta
gonna
move
say,
that?
gotta move this.
oh, sorry, so moved.
So moved by Councilor Lori Aylward, seconder, second Councilor Lenny. I just want to say I'm really pleased with the aesthetics and the look and the architecture of that redevelopment of Rizzoli's into the Rizzoli's Inn.
Yes.
It really
The improvement.
added to Carolina Drive. And, last year we wrote Bell Alliance and we got them to paint the building across from the town hall. And that really looked good. But in our past planning meeting, we did speak that we're going to write certain businesses that have properties that are maybe needing a little bit of TLC or a coat of paint and ask them if they could focus on getting their properties done up. It makes everybody feel good, but this has come home year. And for people who are going to want to come to our province, maybe for the first time, always had it on their bucket list, said, this is the year I'm going to Newfoundland, it's to come home year. So for us as councillors, for our own properties, but for our businesses and our residents, I think we need to step it up and ensure that our grass is cut, our fence is straight, our trims are painted, and maybe some people could even renovate their house. I don't know. Anyways, on that note, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
I'm leaving because this is
You're in conflict.
renovating my house.
Okay.
The last item, it looks like, is 34 Waits Avenue, Donald White. Request for a permit to do exterior renovation to the residence located at 34 Waits Avenue as per attached. It was the recommendation of the Planning and Traffic Committee that this request for a permit be approved, subject to compliance with all town regulations. I so moved.
Moved by Councilor Lori Aylward, seconder.
Second.
Second, Deputy Mayor Susan Fallow. All in favor?
Aye.
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 Motion carried. Okay, I'll go get Myra. Which exit did she leave from?
That one, I think. Yeah, that one, yes.
They're not listening at the door. Okay. There you go.
It's getting on.
Oh. Okay, so is there anything late in planning, Jennifer? Laura, nothing?
No,
No? Okay. No bylaws and regulations today. Unfinished business. Anything unfinished?
Not that I know of. Yeah.
One thing I just want to say that I did get interviewed by CBC on the courthouse and decision of government to move the courthouse to Steamboat Crossing. Was on CBC, not last evening, the evening before maybe.
Oh, that's my,
It was on the Nova Scotia News actually, tonight at 11:30.
okay.
But we do have a letter drafted to the Premier and all the ministers responsible in that portfolio, plus our MHAs. Basically to say, you know, we're disappointed. And it just seems like to spend $8.5 million in an old building just doesn't seem right. Normally these structures that have so many supports that go into them, from your lawyers, firms and offices, your probation, your parole. We have the penitentiary in Stephenville. You have child, youth and family services. You have the RCMP. We have
Victim services.
you know, we have everything here.
Victim services.
And, you know, when you think about it, government in the past through decentralization have done some things like moving the library board in Stephenville, moving the college headquarters. Excuse me. But a courthouse with so many things attached. And then taken from one small community to another small community, it's never good to pin like that. Now, taken from the Big Apple, St. John's, and sent into Steamboat Crossing or Stephenville or Lewisport or Carbonear, yes, decentralize. But so we did write to Premier, and hopefully we'll get a response on that.
Yeah, it was, I saw the interview and, you know, it was okay, it was just a short one. I think somehow too that it kind of pits one community against another.
Yeah.
100%.
And why would you want to do that?
Yeah.
You know, sometimes I would say it would have been better spent by renovating the seniors' home in Steamboat Crossing, because that needs an upgrade really bad. I would say that would have been better spent. But, you know, it really irks me that this government, along with the other governments of the day, saw fit to renovate old buildings that's left by the Americans and turned it into something that wasn't suited. Like, for example, the clinic.
Yeah.
That building is not suited for a clinic. And there's complaints now that both doors are locked all the time. You can't get in at all. Well, of course, they're saying that's COVID. Well, the other private clinic is locked as well. But the front entrance to that building, what's it called? Stephenville Community Center? Bay St. George, Bay St. George. The concrete steps going up to the front. I can't see how any teenagers maybe can run up the steps, but and then they put the big ramp on the back, which really, that was about a mile long or more, you know, it wasn't appropriate really what they did. It was wasted money, you know, and all the fighting that we had to do it. But I'm just, I don't know what I'd say about the situation, but because I know that the people in Steamboat Crossing, of course, you know, are welcoming this, right?
Yeah, and yeah, they're good people in
Yeah.
Steamboat Crossing, and I'm happy for them that they're getting something, but they should have like moved workers' comp or something from St. John's, because it wouldn't hurt St. John. Move some agency or government department.
Yeah,
Right?
they need
Yeah.
to move some of these
Yeah,
people.
That's what I said. It's not about not wanting to support Stephenville Crossing. Because when they grow, we grow.
Yeah.
But to take something from Stephenville and put in Stephenville Crossing, to hurt one to support another doesn't make a whole lot of sense. But even beyond that, most logically, it's the users of the court and the basically, how was it someone put it, we're going to start criminalizing poverty now, because if somebody has a court appearance and they don't have transportation and they can't get out to the crossing, they miss their court appearance, then suddenly they're in, or if they don't get to their probation, then they're in breach. And suddenly now they can be charged, right? So we've created another layer that re-victimizes victims and many of the users of those systems don't have transportation and rely on people who are coming into the hub, let's say, to do other shopping and other banking or groceries that allows them to get a ride. But that's not all going to be the case, obviously, if they have to make it further, right?
Yeah, well, also, the fact that Tom Marshall, Minister Marshall at the time, 8 years ago, said, and I was sure he said, in Stephenville.
Mhm.
Oh, yeah.
A courthouse will be built in Stephenville. He didn't say Stephen Crossing or St. George's. And even though it was a Tory promise, which, everybody knows my color, I'm certainly not Tory blue. And, it was a promise made by the government at the time.
Yeah.
And the government, the taxpayers, we pay their salaries, these people that make decisions.
Yeah.
And we would hope that they make the right decision. But it's almost going back to the time when if you're a liberal district, you get all kinds. Or if you're a PC district, you'll get all kinds. It's almost like Stephenville's getting punished for not having a liberal member.
And my question, as a council, sometimes it's hard not to wonder, we advocated very strongly for an accessible building for quite a while, but particularly since a couple of accidents.
Yes.
So you advocate for accessibility, and what the end result is they remove that from your community. So are we going to continue to are we going to continue to advocate for accessibility at the Bay St. George Medical Center? And if we do, does that mean you're going to move that somewhere else too? Because you can get in the ramp, and I mean, anybody and I know the ramp was important, but to put a ramp at the back door as opposed to the front still speaks volumes to people with accessibility issues about who they are and how important they are in the scheme of things, that they get the back door. But the other piece is, if you're going to see a public health nurse, then you can get in through the back door, but you can't get up over the next set of stairs. So, that might have provided an opportunity for people to get in to see the doctors, but not the people who are working on the next level, right? Yeah. So that building is still far short of accessible. And, we've committed in discussions with government to helping in any way we can as a municipality, whether that means helping build a new clinic or whatever. And I'm sure we would have done the same thing with the courthouse had there been any discussions at all with council.
Yeah, good point. And, talking about the Bay St. George Medical Clinic too, those buildings were built, designed, and engineered as a military airbase.
That's right.
You know who worked on a military airbase? 18 to 23-year-olds.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And a lot of times they were built on high profile ground, with a lot of vegetation taken away for security purposes, for defending that in the event of an invasion or stuff like that. So that was never designed for seniors.
Yeah.
Going. And I actually one day talking about the Bay St. George Medical Clinic, I'll never forget. I was going to the medical clinic, and you were allowed to get through the doors then, by the way. You have to stand in the rain.
Yeah.
But anyways, it's another story. But there was a lady there in her 90s. And she had just walked from the apartments down on West Street to the medical clinic. What? And it was a windy, stormy day. Not snow, but it was windy. It was in the fall of the year. And actually, I gave her a ride home that day. And I'm not that I'm rocky or anything, but I can go up those stairs pretty good. But still, they're not easy to get up.
No.
And I was saying, if a young person is challenged getting up, imagine something 90-something years old. But actually, I gave her a ride home, and it made me I say, this is not good enough.
Yeah.
It's not good enough.
It certainly opens your eyes, and like Susan was saying, from an accessibility standpoint, it's very disappointing.
Yeah.
Accessibility has been a big part of my life since I've been a boy, and especially now since
Yeah.
I'm getting older, grandparents and dad are older. It's for us now, if anything that needs to be done at the courthouse is gonna have to be done online, because grandmother doesn't like to leave the house. To
Yeah.
go out there in the middle of winter for pop, it's not gonna happen. For dad, it's not gonna happen. And for us, I mean, I recognize the privilege of growing up in a family where I had a grandfather work for the provincial government with hydro, and how that set them up when they were older. And even though dad was on assistance, he was privileged having nan and pop. And it's hard enough for us most days. I can't fathom how hard it is for someone who doesn't have that privilege, and how much harder it's going to be now from anyone from the Port Peninsula right to Stephenville, maybe even further. I'm not sure, but
Yeah.
it is very disappointing to see from that standpoint. You advocate for accessibility, and now it makes me wonder that we got an accessible building, but did we make it more inaccessible for more people?
We certainly did.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And that's a very valid point.
Yeah, it's true.
Okay, anything under new business?
Well, the only thing is the fact that we met with David Palmer.
Yeah.
On the 19th, which was Tuesday, right? And he came up from Corner Brook, so he's the manager, I guess you could say, of recruitment services for the region. And they have a new recruitment person there as well, who's taking the place of
Sarah Russo?
Sarah Russo, has been there for a good number of years, probably 12. And the person, I don't say the person would mind if we say who it is, Carmel Turpin. Carmel used to work here with the Georgian one time.
Yes. Oh,
And she's going to be the recruitment person for the specialists now.
okay.
And then Jody Pike, I think, is still there, and Jody's going to be for the family practitioners. And like Tom said, we're better off now than we were, say, a month ago with the doctor situation, and they looks like they may have a couple of more interested, so it's looking better. And I think people need, but the sad thing about all this, we're sitting here, we're talking about the courthouse, we're talking about this, we're talking about that, we're talking about accessibility. But where does it go? We've got nobody going in the newspapers that come there anymore. Doesn't go in the paper.
No.
You might get a little bit on Facebook every now and then, but you're not getting the good news, you're getting the bad news if there's any.
Yeah, you're gonna have to go on old.
So, here we are with a lot of the good things that are coming up, and there's nobody to report it. We're like left in the dark. They're left in the dark, the people out in the community. So I don't know what the answer to that's going to be, but I
Well,
think
I got an idea.
yeah.
I got an idea.
Do something.
And we touted with it a little bit, Susan and Laura. We looked at setting up our own community
radio.
similar to
Yeah.
Islands,
Yeah.
Virgil.
Yeah,
And actually, when we did a tour of our Friendship Center, the W. Cormac, we spoke to their executive director. And because we're also promoting Indigenous and French and all of our culture and recreation, what a platform for us. And the thing is, it's very little startup. The CTC regulation, you've got to get your license, your antenna. And I think it's time to maybe sit down with them and see if it's something that they could take on. We could look at a grant to get them started. There's a lot of people that would volunteer to be the hosts, retired people.
Yep.
And a rule of thumb with radio, from an advertising or a reach perspective, is that you'd start off baby steps, and then you crawl, then you walk and you run. So we might start off the first year with just having the platform and the radio for the listening audience of the whole region in the morning. Because most people are home in their homes listening to the radio in the morning as opposed to the afternoon. Because They tend to stay home, do their chores, do their dishes, have their breakfast, have 4 or 5 cups of coffee. Then in the afternoon, they go visiting, does their errands, and that's evidence-based. So that's a way that we could give weekly updates from our committee chairs. The mayor could give a update from council's decisions, but marketing and communication is key, Councilor Aylward, like you just said. How do we get the word out?
Yes, like for example, we have this certain person that gets on the computer and does a video. And everything he talks about is negative about the hospital, everything. And goes on open line then. Now, he don't know that we just got a brand new CT scanner. And he don't, $1 million, and he don't know that we're getting 7 brand new dialysis machines. So how many people out in the community knows that?
And then I gotta say too,
Yeah.
I get very, very upset when I hear a resident that looks at us and says we're a glorified clinic.
Yeah, I've heard
Really,
that said, yeah.
Because I know that our surgical team, our nursing specialists, our OR suites go into action and save lives. Now, you're not a glorified clinic
No.
if you can go into an operating room and save somebody's life with a top surgeon. And we have that in Stephenville. But, you know, I think a community radio focused on the positives only.
And I can tell you also that dealing with the seniors as well, that if we did have a radio, we would be keeping them informed. They don't have computers. They may have a cell
Yeah.
phone, but they only know to use it like the regular old telephone.
Yeah.
So therefore, we would at least be giving them a lot of knowledge as
Yeah.
well. And it's very important because a lot of the seniors do not leave their homes. They have disabilities. And it would be very important to get the news out to them as well, you know?
You know, there could be segments of our local entertainers and our French music and now we're starting to hear some indigenous music and teachings and that's what people, that local culture is what people want to listen to, you know? So maybe that's something we could look at in the future, reach out and see what we could do there.
I do know there is a family member of mine who lives in Port who called me the other night, actually, with that same idea.
No way.
I was talking to, I think it's the Bay of Islands Radio. I
Yes,
think.
they got one, yeah.
Yeah, that's who he was talking to, and he was throwing around some numbers and nothing is set in stone, but that was the thing, is what do you think council would think of this? And so will you get some more work done for me?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah,
So there
So,
are people out there, local musicians who want it.
yeah.
The
so-
biggest thing with that, I think, is it's like anything else. Nothing will succeed without a champion.
Yes.
Yeah.
you got that,
So,
champ.
you know, we can want it.
Yeah.
And we can try to get other people to want it, but until that person or organization wants it bad enough that they're gonna, same thing. People want to help seniors. They don't want seniors to be lonely. They don't want, but until Tracy stepped forward and said, I'm starting this.
Yeah.
And now it's going, right?
Yeah.
And it's the same thing with the community radio. Somebody,
Yeah.
whoever it is, whether it's the, you know, the Cormac Center or Friendship Center or an individual needs to say, look, I want this to happen so bad that I'm prepared to
Yeah.
be the champion for it, right? Because, you know, you get lots of volunteers and all that, but you gotta still organize your volunteers and you still gotta block out your time slots and they still have to commit to doing the things that they talk about, right? But in this day and age, there's got to be a way to communicate with people in our town and
Yeah, like
we
it would
just
be
gotta
nice.
focus on it.
The taxpayers want to know why the roads are in the shape that they're in and what we're doing about it.
Yeah.
And they just they want the communication.
Like I know in Corner Brook, because the station wasn't Corner Brook, but they shut it down too now, right? But every Tuesday, the mayor of Corner Brook would be on and
Yeah.
talking about the previous council
Yeah,
and updates
Yeah.
and I could see that if we had a community radio every 2 weeks after
Yeah.
the council meeting, I could go on and speak
Yeah.
what was said at a public meeting, because like tonight on Facebook, we may only have a 10 or a dozen.
Yeah.
people.
what is the
Nine.
number there?
Nine.
Five.
and that's the other thing is I think we can do And I mean, we've said that next Thursday, we're gonna talk more about a communication strategy, and I think, you know, when we talk about policy development, but we need a full-on communication plan
Yes.
Yes.
for the town that would include all the things like how we communicate with residents, what we're gonna do, who speaks, and all, and what's our social media presence gonna look like? Are we gonna have a good website? All of that. So as we develop that, hopefully we'll find, because I was saying the same thing earlier. I mean, even before community, if there's community radio in the works, even before that, there's no reason why you can't do a Facebook Live every 2 weeks after the council meeting for a few minutes and record it. I still vote for recording our public meetings because I think there's more people then that would start to see it. Because the other thing is we need to find ways to encourage more of our citizens to engage by either watching our public meetings or us recording them so that people can watch them later. But our citizens, if they don't log on at exactly that time, they don't hear what happened in the meetings, right? But whereas if it was recorded and then up on our website linked, then go in and say, okay, let's see what happened at that meeting.
Yeah, that's right.
Right?
Yeah.
Certainly no expert in the media field, but from doing podcasts and Facebook videos and all that stuff, it's not difficult.
No,
It might take a little bit of time to start and to get comfortable. Once you are, it's almost instantaneous.
yeah,
The other thing I wanted to mention, as you well know, our community, the group that was spearheaded by No Managed Ages, helping the Ukrainians, they have a big auction on this weekend.
right.
So Bartlett, what's his first name?
Bartlett.
Bartlett Auctions. But anyways, they have, I think, 400 items.
Beautiful.
Yeah. But they're close to $30,000 now raised. But I did get a call from the St. John's Office of Association for New Canadians. And they're gonna ramp up, they've been hearing about what we've been doing as a community to hopefully bring in Ukrainian refugees. So they're sending me some emails. I'll link them up with our manager, our team, and they want to work with us to help us in that process. So that's a good thing.
Excellent.
Yeah.
Excellent.
So on that note, it is 7:54. Long meeting. I would ask a member of council to move that we adjourn this meeting. Moved by Councillor Lenny Keller, second. Councillor Tracy Boland. All in favor?
Aye.
Carry. I gotta say, it's easier for me to chair now. I got brand new glasses and I can see you guys better.
I know.